The Noxious Halberd. If you've heard about this weapon in the Theater of Blood, you've probably heard one of two things. Either that A, it is absolutely incredible, replaces your whip almost entirely, will do more damage, and be more fun to use, or option B, that it's way harder to use, barely much more DPS, and you should honestly just use a whip because it's just not worth it to learn the halberd. The place that this sentiment spawned from and spread from is the Learner Tob discords. We Do Raid, Learn Tob, and the likes. For a while, Nox Hally was a banned item, but now if you go into the We Do Raids discord, it will say specifically, the Noxious Halberd. This is permitted as a replacement for the Tentacle Whip in all rooms except the Nylos waves, but it is not recommended as it is more difficult to use at Verzik, and not much of a DPS increase. If you are not good, not underlined by the way, if you are not good at Tob, you should not bring this item. This is just honestly a load of gobbledygook. I've been doing Learner Tob Fridays for 13 weeks in a row now, 6 hours straight, bringing 2 learners every raid, from 0 KC all the way up to, we cut it off at 100 KC for people. But some people are coming in for their first ever KC, and with just some simple explanation, we can get them in business with their Hally cooking within the first couple of raids. For a lot of you who have already been in Tob and have had a bit of a P2 learning experience, P2 is tough. It can take a few raids to learn, but with the simplified Nox Hally tech, you will be doing big damage, swinging big numbers the entire time in both Xarpus and P2 Verzik, and I'm going to show you exactly how. And before the video begins, I want to give a massive shout out to all of our channel members. Big shout out to all of the heroes and legends. Thank you all for supporting the channel directly and helping me put out all of these videos, keep my streams live every single day. I appreciate you all more than you know. If you want to help support the channel directly, please consider joining and becoming one of our valued channel members, boys. Going into the Maiden room, there isn't too much to say here about the Hally. You are able to step back one tile to be out of Maiden tank range if you want someone else to be taking the hits, if you're standing on the north or the east side, for example. Other than that, if you happen to have void range and a blowpipe with dragon darts, as well as your range necklace being the anguish or the rupture, that will do more damage than your Hally as long as the Maiden is zeroed. So if you happen to bring a void range and a blowpipe, use that for this room. If you don't bring it with you, don't worry, your Hally is going to be doing absolutely fantastic. This is just one of those things that if you have the supplies, if you have the resources, and you want to spend them on your iron, you will be doing more damage in this room and in the Xarpus room if they are both zeroed and you're using dragon darts. Just one thing to point out. Moving on to the Bloat room, there shouldn't be anything majorly new here as well that you aren't used to doing already with your Chally. Of course, you can be one tile back with your halberd auto attacks, but other than that, if you're doing a flinch on the Bloat, you should be doing a flinch with the Chally spec. There is the option to do it with a Hally whack if you are out of spec, but again, truly isn't much to say here. It's Bloat. Just do the max amount of hits that you can possibly do your specs. It's Bloat. For Nylo waves on melee DPS, you are not going to be using the halberd. You should be using one of 3 weapons. Your best option being the Sulfur Blades, second best option being the Racial Timotles from Amoxolotl, and your third best being the Boppers from Moons. The Racial Timotles and the Sulfur Blades calc the accuracy of each individual hit splat separately, so you're just much more likely to land a hit and one-shot a Nylo when you're hitting them. They are fantastic on the melee roll. And then coming into the boss, of course, with a 4-tick weapon, you only get 2 hits when it changes to white anyway. With a 5-tick weapon, same thing, you'll only get 2 hits, but if you're very slow, you'll probably only get 1 hit. Obviously, it takes 1 more tick for you to get 2 hits with the halberd than it would with the tentacle, so just be a little bit quicker on your melee attacks, and you will be getting 2 larger, stronger attacks rather than 2 small whip hits every time the Nylo changes color. Other than that, very basic, nothing really changes, you're just a little bit slower attacking. First things first, when we go into the Dark Beast room, I will say, if you own a Fang, an Osmumpton's Fang, and you have the inventory space, you don't need one extra food, just bring it for this room. It's more accurate, it does more damage, it's just higher DPS on the Dark Beast. You cannot zero the Dark Beast, 2 hammers is the most defense reduction you can do, so if you have a Fang, bring it, it will be better for this room specifically. Beyond that, if you're choosing to Hally Sotetseg, there's really only one concept that I need to explain to you, and that is why we do or don't stand next to the boss or 1 tile back. So whether you're choosing to flinch or be stood 1 tile away. So the long and short of it, while Sot does have a melee attack, this melee attack can hit pretty hard. If you're not praying mage, it can hit you up to a 60. This can be bad business. So you might just say to yourself, why don't I just stand back for the whole room and punch him? Well, the answer to that is the death balls. So the death balls are on a timer. So every X amount of orbs that Sot shoots out, I don't know the exact number off the top of my head, comment it down below if you do know it. Every X amount of orbs, Sot is going to shoot the big death ball that you either need to group up and share the damage or tick eat. Or die, the hidden third option. So if all of you are stood back 1 tile and he's never meleeing, you're going to get a lot of death ball orbs throughout your Sotetseg. So, for the most part, if you can, you want to stand in melee distance. Keyword here is if you can. If you get absolutely murked by some auto attacks, if he punches you a 60, if you take 3 orbs, if you take a bunch of damage in the maze, feel free to stand back a tile. Reduce the incoming damage to you. If you see someone with a scythe or a whip or basically anything that's not a halberd doing step backs and flinching, they're doing the exact same thing as you are by standing back a tile. They just don't have the luxury of getting to just stand there and do it. So again, this is just one of those things that you shouldn't do for the entire room, but if you're low HP and you have to, or you just want to put yourself out of danger for a moment to give yourself a moment to breathe, do a step back, click on the boss, feel free to swing away. It's not the end of the world. Going into the Xarpus room, you might be looking at this and thinking, what in the hell is he doing? But think about it for a second. If these tiles were ragged 1 row back, would anyone bat an eye? If these tiles were ragged around the outside of the room, would anybody be concerned? The answer is no. With the Hally, you have the luxury, the beauty, the golden god ability to just stand outside of melee range, and you don't need to rag a single one of the good tiles. Now, is this the prettiest way to do Xarpus melee? No, absolutely not. Is this the best way to do Xarpus melee? No, for sure not. But can you do this and get away with it pretty much every single raid because you have an entire quadrant to yourself? You best believe that you can. And if you're looking at the guys who are doing the regular melee walk, they're going to be ragging tiles constantly anyway. If you're learning, if you're new to the melee walk, it's not going to be perfect. You're not going to do it beautifully. So you know what? Let's cut out the middleman from that process. Let's just do the most simplified, dumbest, range melee walk. And just like that, we got to melee the entire Xarpus room without batting an eye, without really thinking, just off the virtue that Jagex gave us a strong weapon with 1 extra tile of range. Now the boys in We Do raids, they hate to see this. They hate to see taking advantage of the things that we are given in game, the things that we are handed. But this is real gameplay. P2 Verzik. This is a notorious part of the raid. I know from all of my Learner Fridays, this is where we see the most people go out in the most miraculous, explosive fashions. I saw someone get stacked out for a literal 75-75 last night. That's not a joke. 150 to their forehead. P2 is scary. But we can dumb down P2 to be so simple, and we can take one of the most dangerous mechanics, the belly bounce, stunning you in place, forcing you to take a cabbage, potentially forcing you to take a crab pop. We can take the belly bounce out of the equation entirely. So as you can see here, I am standing 1 tile back from Verzik, and the only thing that I need to be aware of and be paying attention to is moving every time she bounces. Every time she does her melee bounce, she's also registering your tile to send a cabbage to your forehead. Every time she bounces, you move, red clicker in between, and it's a movie. Sometimes you move then hit, sometimes you hit then move, just depending on what part of the cycle you are on relative to her attack. It's so inexact, it's so simple, and yet so many people hate on this method and want to disparage it just because it doesn't look as pretty as the step backs or as scything or as any of the other melee methods we've been accustomed to over the years when it comes to P2. This is more damage than whipping. This is better than whipping if you can do this. But We Do Raids doesn't want to give you the tools to do this. They don't want to adjust their expectation and their teaching. They don't want to learn new things themselves. They want to hold you down. They want to hold you back. They want to make it seem like these things are so confusing and advanced that you're too stupid to understand them. If you're not good enough, you can't do this. Meanwhile, if you were permitted or encouraged to bring your Hally from day one, you would be succeeding. And not only would you be succeeding, you would be thriving in the Theater of Blood. If they adjusted their ability to teach to incorporate new gear rather than running away from it and treating it like it is just some blasphemous, appalling thing just because it looks different, I think Tob would be a much easier and simpler place to get into. There would be a lot less misinformation going around if some of these learner discords could truly just drop the elitism, drop the know-it-all attitude, stop pretending like you know better than the numbers. The numbers don't lie. It is simply easier to Hally walk P2 than it is to whip it. It is simply easier to stand back than it is to flinch Verzik if you're trying to dodge melees from the tank. It is simply better to do more damage. So let this video be your Bible as to how to use the Hally properly in the Theater of Blood, as realistically, it's not that much different from any other melee weapon. In fact, there's a few moments where it's just significantly better. It just does a way cooler thing because it has extra range. But other than that, it's just a smaller scythe, man. It's just a scythe that hits less, only does one hit splat. It's just a baby scythe. It's not as good as a Soul Reaper axe, of course, but you guys don't have one of those. You're an Iron Man, and you've got a Hally, and you want to use it, and I'm giving you the tools to use it. At the end, I'm just kind of ranting here while you watch me kill Verzik with a Hally. This is a 416 raid that I just wanted to get some footage from. I have 2 scythes. I wanted to bust the Hally out just to show you that it's powerful, that it's fun, that it gets the job done, and not only does it get the job done, but it does some amazing shit in Tob that will make your life way easier on the learning experience end. So, I hope you've enjoyed this video. I'm gonna let the rest of this Verzik KC play out in this 416. Of course, we do end up MVPing at the end. Hally Man is always on top, boys. Hally Man was never not gonna be on top. But if you want to come by for some Learner Tob KCs, please pull up on any Friday, 6 Eastern. We do Learner Tobs all night. Anybody is welcome. There are no requirements. We will teach you the raid, bring you in Discord, explain everything, answer any questions you have. We want to make Tob a fun learning experience. Nothing needs to be gatekept. Nothing needs to be made to feel like you are not good enough because you want to use a Hally, or you're too stupid to use a Hally, so you're not allowed to use it. Screw all that shit, boys. We are here to make things make sense, to make you understand why you can use the Hally, and not only that, why it is fantastic if you want to use the Hally. Now, if you have better options, use the better options. If you have a scythe, use the scythe. If you have a Soul Reaper axe, use the Soul Reaper axe. Don't choose to do way less damage. But don't let some goofball in the We Do Raids Discord let you believe that your Hally sucks, or that you suck too much to use your Hally, because you don't, and you're about to rip with that thing.